Got the super steady on. Super steady. I don't know if this will make a difference. Like when I walk out of my house and people scream my name. It makes you feel good. Makes you feel like I'm a part of the neighborhood. Like, which is scary. Have you ever heard the that little thought experiment thing, or thought problem about the farmer who's trying to cross a river? He's got like a chicken, right? He's got a chicken, like 2 bags of feed, and a fucking fox or something. And he's got to cross with one item kind of at a time. He's got to first bring the chicken, then go back and get the grain, then bring the grain over, but then go back for the fox. Like that fucking thing, you know what I'm talking about. We all know what I'm talking about. That's me leaving my house. Because I have a whole checklist of bullshit I gotta take with me. It's like, alright, I got my phone. Oh shit, I don't have my key. Alright, go get the key. Alright, now where's my phone? Oh fuck, alright, here's my phone. Do you have cigarettes? No. Alright, go find the cigarettes. I got the cigarettes, got my key. Where's the fucking phone? This goes on, I mean, at least like, 5 minutes. It doesn't sound like a long time, doesn't seem like a long time, but it's a long fucking time, you know? Especially when you're trying to leave the house. Everything's a goddamn nightmare. Oh, sorry, God, I hate saying goddamn. Everything's a nightmare. I went to edit a video this morning that I did last night. And I know usually I'm talking about crazy shit. That sounds very schizo all the time. That's my thing, you know. I don't want it to be my thing. It's you know. I guess I'd like to have some normalcy, but there is no normalcy. It's not a normal world. But going through it today, I'm like, it's just too out there. It was too out there. I was trying to talk about how those of us that can see the system as it exists, the architecture, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the matrix or whatever, we can see that there's an artifice in the world. You know, it's this is like a show. It's like we can see the backdrop. Like the first time I had a feeling like this, that this was indeed a 3D kind of screen or whatever, was in 1996, which was also the year I saw the demon, the first demon I ever saw. That's another story. But anyway, stay on target here. I was with some of the guys from my band, actually the girls from my band actually, and we were with our manager for our band, and we did ketamine, which is basically animal tranquilizer. Can you say you did things on YouTube? Should I be saying a friend of mine did? Who cares? The cat's out of the toothpaste now. But so I did this ketamine, and when I was on it, I was sitting in a chair, like looking at the room, and the room I was in, everything was changing. Everything in every spot was changing into something else. Like the dresser suddenly became another piece of furniture. People walk so close to me, it's so weird, because I want to, I'm talking, and it's like, anyway, the things in the room were changing. It was like almost like I was seeing the room throughout history, or at all different times, or something. Like the bed turned into a bassinet, and then the bassinet was an old style kitchen table. Like everywhere there was an item, a piece of furniture, it would change into another piece of furniture, and the room itself was changing. What it was is I was looking at the same space, but it was other things taking up the same space. I was seeing, from what I know now, or what I think now, were other frequencies. Like how we are tuned into this one, I was seeing other frequencies. Now ketamine can have what is that kind of what do they call those things? Not psychotics. That's that's what I've been on. Psychedelic. It can have a psychedelic effect. It's fucking awful, you know. I tried it a couple dozen, like 50 times before I was like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. But yeah, it had a kind of trippy kind of thing to it. And when I was watching the room change all these different versions of the same room I was sitting in, I heard people whispering in the background. At first I thought it was my friends, but there was nobody in the room was whispering. Everybody was on ketamine. So we're all like in our own private kind of problem. And you know, someone's laying on the floor, somebody else is on the bed, you know, it's all around the room. And I heard whispering, like, and they sounded like they were agitated. The first thing I thought was, oh, the owners of the house are here. And like, why would the owners of the house, the landlords here? It was someone that was in charge of the space I was in. But it wasn't the house, it was a dimension. And it was, I didn't hear the words, but I got the idea that they were almost like saying, oh, how is he back here? How did he get back here? What is, you know, they were upset because I guess they could see me or see that I was seeing them. But I wasn't seeing anybody, I was just hearing them. And then as I started to come out of it, the way you come out of ketamine is pretty quick. Like, you're really fucked up, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoop, and you come back to like totally sober. It's a fucking weird drug. So when I was getting toward the end of this fucking decay hole, is what it is really. To get the most out of ketamine, I'm not gonna, you know, tell you how to do that, but you have to basically overdose on it, and then that's what they refer to as going into a K-hole, or what we used to call it anyway. When I got to the end of that experience, like, you ever see Saturday Night Live when they cut to commercial and they pan back from the scene? It could be a skit of them in a house talking, a family or whatever, and then the skit ends and it's time for commercial. The camera pans back and you see that it's not a real house, it's the set that the show is on. The world is that. And I panned out of the world and saw that there was like a set around everything. And yeah, that was my first experience with the understanding that there's some kind of system here. It would take many years to kind of work that out. For a while I always thought it was just a weird trippy thing that happened when I was on ketamine. And I never had another experience like that on ketamine again. Usually ketamine experiences, I take it, I'm on the floor, I feel like I'm going through the floor. Some people I know like walk around on it and like do shit. I can never do that. I just sit there and go, and then you just come out of it. So I never had an experience like that again. But that was the first time that I realized this was a fucking a staging, a show, a movie of some kind, and you're the protagonist, and I'm the protagonist, and if those guys over there, or any of them, are 5%ers, they're the protagonists. Yeah, 95%, the Hylix, not the protagonist. It's like they're there for our benefit, like to be part of this whole thing we're experiencing. But as far as, another one of those Musk trucks, they're not much different than like any other asset here, like this wall or a tree, except they can talk, and you know, they move, and they help create the scene that you're in. I don't know if they're saying you're less schizo than my description last night. I hope the Steadicam thing works. I gotta get a new phone. I know I've said that 2 weeks ago, but this week I mean it. Yeah, so I was thinking about that, and last night I kind of went into that a little bit, because what was happening to me last night while it wasn't like gang stalking or anything, it was like that sort of Truman Show stuff. Like wherever I went, there was something weird happening around me, or someone was following very closely, or you know, like what happens to me when I do the Schizo Garage episodes, where eventually someone will pull in a car, usually a motorcycle, and like just park right beside me. Like, see, I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna go away. Please don't kill me. I usually let people go because I don't trust them, you know. But yeah, a couple weeks ago I did a video and I was talking about it. Like, yeah, whenever I'm back here, someone always comes along and has to park right where I'm standing. And sure enough, someone comes along, parks where I'm standing. So I'm like, oh Jesus, what's going on here? So let's go see what she says here.
Not even saying.
Yeah, we didn't have those people before COVID. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that though, because I seem like I talk about that all the time. Boo-hoo! Everybody's dealing with it in their own communities. It sucks. What are you gonna do? But yeah. So I was complaining about this. Guys, just whining about the car. He's gonna be parked right where I have to be, right? Yeah, and he does. So now I move, and another car comes along, and I have this in video. It's like from. I'll try to dig up which one it is, and if I can figure it out, I'll put it on the screen. And as I'm saying that, another one comes in and has to park right where I'm standing again. So then I go on the platform where you can't drive, and I'm like, well, no one can come up here. I'm safe over here. And I go over to the door that I usually go in to walk up the stairs. There's like a barred door there, so I figure I'm safe. So I start talking there, and a fucking third car backs right into where I'm standing at the bar. It was funny. But yeah, that's the system. Like the system, once the system is aware that you're aware of the system, it'll start fucking with you by doing stuff like that, because it sees you as an aberration in the system, as a wound, as a cut. Like when you cut your hand or your body or something, white blood cells will rush in to fix that wound. It doesn't really know who you are. It doesn't care who you are or how you cut your hand. Automatically, the white blood cells come cruising in there to fix that cut, that wound. People like us are wounds in the system, so they send fucking people to fix it, or to just interfere with it or mess with it, because they see it as a cut. And the white blood cells come in the form of people, you know, because those are the resources that are available to the system. That just moves people. Like all those, whenever I get monged, or whenever I have, you know, people shadowing me, or like, they don't even realize they're doing it. They're not like trying to do it to be an asshole. Missing cat, probably black magic. They're not trying to be dicks. They don't even know that it's happening. The system is working through them, and that's just how that is. It's hard to articulate this kind of stuff, though, and you know, you got to be careful. Like I always say, to who you articulate this stuff to, or you may end up in a ward somewhere. But yeah, I'm encouraged by seeing other people talk about it, you know, especially like with YouTube. There's a lot of people that have this kind of stuff going on, like real bad, like gang stalking stuff. And I mean, some of those guys, though, it's like, I think it gets to them. And there's one guy that I haven't seen him online in a while, but he would like stream just 24/7 to try to catch all this stuff that's happening to him, like all these kind of things where, you know, people are crowding him or coming around him or coming around his house. And yeah, if you let it get to you, and you lose your sense of humor, yeah, you could have a tough time. You know, like if it wasn't for certain factors in my life, you know, New York being one of them, and just being kind of crazy to begin with, it's very possible that I could be one of those guys, like in my house, live streaming my window 24/7 to try to catch whatever, you know, is walking by my window, whatever I think is out there looking at me. You know, it could get to you, man. It plays with your mind. But it's not people, it's the system itself. And there's people, but they work with the system. This week I've been talking about the system around us that some of us can see, and thought forms. And I found this thing online. I read this story of a guy that had I don't know if he realized he was using thought forms, but it's a cool way of using them. He had these schizophrenia patients he was seeing who all seemed to have a lot of things in common. Namely, these voices that were talking to them would get angry or upset in certain circumstances. It was always Jesus-based. Like whenever they'd say a prayer or whenever they'd hear the name Jesus, they would get louder or get angrier among these patients. So he knew it was some kind of demonic thing, or he had the idea that it was some kind of demonic thing, which is pretty open-minded for him, because usually those mental health clinicians, they won't acknowledge any of that stuff. They're very much they go by the book, you know, by what the gang says, what the paper on their framed on their wall dictates. But there's one guy, he had this idea where when his patients would come in, he wouldn't tell them, but what he would do is imagine the mouths of these voices. In this case, you know, they were demons, but or so he thought, and obviously it seems like they were. And what he would do is picture their mouths, and then he would take masking tape or like electrical tape and wrap them around the mouths of these of the voices in his mind, out in the ether. And what that did is it quieted them down. They weren't able to speak anymore, and they subsequently stopped torturing his patients. That's a good example of using thought forms. Like the other day I was explaining how they work, and I always come up with the shittiest examples. So I think that it was the door and the fucking the battering ram idea. But yeah, that's a way that someone uses them, you know, without even knowing. And I thought that was brilliant. One more thing before I head in. I think it's hilarious this week that Musk blew his lebased and red-pilled image by supporting that HB1B or whatever it is, the immigration for Indians. He kind of took it a little far. He got some clapback from it, and he doesn't like being, you know, he doesn't like being clapped back on, and he got real butthurt and started doubling down, insinuating that Americans were lazy and all this other stuff. And you know, to me it didn't shatter any image at all, because I always knew what he was. You know, I've said often here on this very channel that he's I know who he works for. I know who his master is. The thing is that there's none of these guys are going to ever stand up for your interests. No one's going to save you. There are no good guys. You're the good guy. You know, we're the good guys. Not Trump, not Musk, not any of these people. But yeah, the mask came off with that, and now he's like trying to dial back on it. He's trying to backpedal. Excuse me, I'm just trying to adjust my stuff here, and it's pretty funny. Just gonna wait a minute. Let these people go by. I'm not gonna complain. They're not doing anything. They're just, there's no one on the street but me and them. And they're following along right with me the whole time. And it makes me self-conscious because I don't like to talk. I'm always talking about fucked up shit. And, whatever. I said I wasn't going to complain, and there goes fucking 15 seconds. But, there's no one out there. There's no good guys out there that are going to come and help you and save you. And the Indian thing is real. I mean, usually in this part of the world, we're more under the immigration problem of from Africa. Canada, I guess, has the Indian problem bad. And I know some of them, they're cool. I have a neighbor that's Indian. That he's fucking basic as fuck. We talk about stuff all the time. But they do, the cultural distance is pretty wide. The whole egg shitting outside thing. And it's not a thing where they know it's wrong and just, oh yeah, we have to take care of that, we have to fix that. No, they think it's like the correct way to do it. They're like, why would you want to shit inside the house where you prepare your food? It's like, Jesus, how do you change that? You don't change that. You have to learn to live with it. The problem is, how you learn to live with it. In Canada, they're fucking causing havoc at the beaches. Because the beach is a very popular place for them to want to, shit. So, people on the beach and we're at the park and families, kids, and there's a guy there doing his business. It's just not what we do here in the West, And it's all, it's never about skin color. People always say that it's because of the color of someone's skin. It's never ever been about the color of anyone's skin, whether it's black or Indian. It's all about culture, actions, content of character. Those are the things that make people, get agitated with people. But anyway, Musk went all in on this thing. People started to criticize him for it, and he got a little melty and doubled way down on it. Then a lot of people came at him for it. I gave him a couple memes. I got a couple shots in. And I consider us friends because he liked one of my tweets once. I made a big deal about it here on this very channel. So, we're pretty tight as far as I'm concerned. But I had to voice my disapproval in a way I thought was funny at the moment. But, so now he's backpedaling on this whole thing. And, it's fucked up. The fucked up thing isn't what he did. It's that people were invested in him as someone that was on their side. None of these people are on your side. They're just on different sides of the other side. They do compete against each other. These satanic factions do try to fuck each other over. Like when Trump was going after all the kid sellers, the kid movers alongers, whatever, I don't want to use the word, but because Trump's portion of the Satanists don't rely on that. Where the Moloch people, which is the Hillary people, they do rely on it. And I don't know if it's a consequence of or a direct result, a reason, but they rely on the adrenochrome thing. They're all hooked on it and they all have to have it. I don't know if that was something discovered from sacrifice anyway. I mean, there's centuries, going back centuries. If this is something they discovered while they were doing sacrifices, or if they do the sacrifices for it, I have no idea. But I don't know about the third cult, the one that's in Korea, the other major cult that has a hand on world control. I don't know what they are like with sacrifice. I mean, they all do sacrifice. But I don't know if they do the specific sort of kid one. Because the reason they have to sacrifice is to work up these powers, to work up this energy. Energy that you regularly already have anyway. They don't. Because they're soulless. They're fucking, they're ultra 95%ers. They're like 95%ers on steroids. So they have to get the energy from somewhere else. And that's where they work it out through sacrifice. And it brings me back to that doctor who is imagining the mouths of the voices being closed. The reason he can do that is because he's a 5%er. Obviously, he's a reality creator, because that's what we are, as the smaller percentage of the population that understands divinity, understands that there's a spiritual war going on, and has the ability to create through our thoughts. And it's our divine gig, it's our skill, you know. So he's not just like, I wish there was a masking tape on these voices. He put it there by visualizing it, using thought forms. So yeah, so I wrapped that up. Thought forms, the system, also the extraneous garbage, and I can go in. The extra joy to be this week, or indeed today. Hope to see you again soon. Say hi in the comments. I love talking, discussing things. Or if you have anything to point out, or information to add, questions on any of this stuff, not just what we're talking about today. And eventually, YouTube will show me that comment, maybe like a month from now, when it's way past having any effect on the engagement. And then we can talk about it then. Don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.